Many of the viewer emails you send us involve dreams. Some of them are comforting, some are nightmares. One viewer named Diane Hamilton wrote us of a strange and haunting dream about a sequence of 4 numbers, 5005.
The last dream I had was about him being in the graveyard and setting up a banquet table, like as if he was preparing for some kind of celebration. I just couldn't understand the dream. I couldn't make it out.
When Diane Hamilton was only 16 years old, her father died from a sudden heart attack.
I was totally devastated. I never thought he would die so young.
Every so often, Diane's father would appear in her dreams, but the family never took these visions seriously.
My mother said to her, well, the next time you have a dream about your father, ask him to give you some numbers.
You know, ask him for the lottery numbers. We can play them. Maybe we can become millionaires.
Then, in the summer of 1998, 20 years after her father passed away, Diane had a bizarre and unsettling dream that was impossible to ignore. In the dream, Diane was in a cemetery. She saw a tall gravestone with a statue of the Virgin Mary. Nearby, her father was setting up a banquet table, but whom was he planning to entertain? What did it all mean?
And he was setting up what looked like food and flowers. And I kept saying, what are you doing? This doesn't make sense. You know, why are you in a graveyard celebrating?
Diane's father wouldn't answer her questions. It was then that she remembered her mother's suggestion.
I just said, can you show me some numbers? My mom wants me to ask you to show me some numbers, which is what he did. He showed me 5005.
When Diane's mother heard about the dream the next day, she was convinced the numbers were the secret to a winning lottery ticket.
So she said, well, make sure you play those numbers and have, you know, call your brother and your sister and make sure everybody plays those numbers.
Diane's entire family started playing the lottery, repeatedly using the numbers 5005. But luck was never on their side.
We played them for a month or so, and none of them ever came out. So eventually we all stopped playing them.
The mystery remained. What did Diane's dream mean? What was her father trying to tell her with these seemingly random numbers? The family couldn't dwell on the enigma for long. 6 months later, Diane's mother unexpectedly died.
There wasn't a day that went by that I didn't talk to my mother or be with her. So when she passed away, I was very devastated.
One morning, several weeks after the funeral, Diane felt a strong desire to visit her mother's grave. It was located 45 minutes away from where her father was buried.
I kept saying no, maybe I shouldn't because I had taken time off from work because of her death. But something just kept telling me, no, go, go, go.
The cemetery was so large that as Diane drove onto the grounds, she had trouble remembering the exact location of her mother's grave. She asked a cemetery employee for directions to the gravesite.
She wrote the number, the row number, and the grave number for me on a piece of paper. And without looking at the paper, I just got back in the car and started driving in the direction where she was pointing to.
Diane drove a short distance. As she approached the location of her mother's grave, it all looked familiar. As Diane climbed out of her car, she looked at the piece of paper for the very first time. What she saw stopped her in her tracks.
The number on the paper was row 50, grave 5, so the number 5005 was written on the paper.
To Diane's amazement, she realized the number her father had given her was the exact plot location of her mother's grave. Strangely, just like in her dream, a few feet away stood a tall gravestone, one that held a statue of the Virgin Mary.
So I knew at that point when I looked around that this was the graveyard that I saw him in my dream.
At last, the mystery surrounding the numbers 5005 was solved. Diane was certain that her father had been trying to communicate with her from beyond the grave.
I think that he was just trying to warn me that there was going to be a death and probably something that would devastate me.
I think that he was trying to tell Diane that, so maybe he could prepare us all a little bit better than we were.
Diane's eerie dream might seem alarming, but she says she finds comfort in her father's visitations.
I'm his daughter. He's watching out for me, and he's going to warn me of different events, and I'm thankful for that. It's not something